Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we'll be looking at the AFCON. What does it mean for Ahmad and Mbeumo? What is going on with them? And Nusair Mazraoui, of course, as well. Plus, Manchester United getting linked with a few midfielders. Shock horror. Let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it's a bit nippy, but it's not too bad. Loads of stories to get through. Make sure before we do, though, you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We want to get to 850,000 subscribers. And with your support, yes, you, we can get there. A lot of the stories this morning, looking at transfers, because the transfer window is upon us. There's deals to be made, and it looks like Manchester United might be making one or two. The most concrete deal I can see on the horizon that's been reported by a few outlets is Joshua Zirkzee to Roma. Now, I've seen this in the Manchester Evening News. They're quoting, I think, Gazzetta dello Sport, if you would believe them, that Zirkzee's more or less already agreed to go to Roma. Other outlets are talking about it as well. They're saying that a deal is in the offing. Fabrizio Romano spoke about it on his YouTube channel. It looks like Roma are very much in for Joshua Zirkzee. Now, the question is whether Manchester United, or there's two questions. Are Manchester United willing to let Joshua Zirkzee go in January? And does he want to go in January? Now, it looks as though from the reports that the player's keen on a move or up for a move. He's not getting loads of minutes, is he, at Manchester United? He has come on a few times. He has started a couple of games. But there's no denying that if everyone's fit, he's not going to get a look in. But we have had injuries. Sesko's been injured, and Mbeumo's at the AFCON. Ahmad's at the AFCON, which I'll get to in a minute as well. These are attacking players. I know they don't necessarily play in the same position as Zirkzee, but he can play in that 10. Aye, bro, you okay? So, do you want to let him go? Are you willing to let him go when you've got players that are absent, players that are missing, players that are injured, and he does play for Manchester United when those players aren't available? I don't know, is the honest answer. We'll have to wait and see. We know that the manager has used him, but he isn't a first-team choice for Manchester United. So, one to keep an eye on. It looks like Roma are definitely in for him, and we'll let you know what happens with that deal as soon as we get anything a little bit more concrete. It looks like it's sort of bubbling under there. Could be something in the offing over the next few days, or they might end up trying to wait until the AFCON. Of course, I don't think the January transfer window shuts by the time the AFCON finishes, so they might say, well, let's see where we're up to when the AFCON finishes and then try and make a deal there. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Joshua Zirkzee is obviously a very popular player with a lot of Manchester United fans. Is he that popular, though, that you'd want to see him stay? Because push comes to shove, I know he's got a goal this season, but it's not like he's been hugely effective when he has played for Manchester United. I know he's not had a lot of minutes, but I don't know. I think he's probably one of those where you go, if he goes, it's not the end of the world. It just might leave us a little bit short. So that's the big question that Ruben Amorim has to answer. In terms of AFCON as well, I mentioned it earlier, it was Cameroon versus Ivory Coast last night, and Mbeumo versus Ahmad. Ahmad scored a wonder goal. He's scored a couple of goals now. I think he's got 2 Man of the Match awards as well, Player of the Match awards. Doing very well at the AFCON, Ahmad. And also Cameroon and Ivory Coast, I think, are the top 2 teams in their group. I think Morocco are top of their group as well. So there's a good chance we could lose these players for a little bit longer. Carlos Baleba also played in that game, and I was looking at Carl Anker's tweets. Carl Anker, who's been covering the AFCON, and we are going to be hearing from Carl probably next week. I think we're going to have him on the channel, so he's going to be giving us an update on how some of the players have done it on the AFCON and what's going on with Manchester United in general. He said that Carlos Baleba looked pretty decent. I think he got booked on around the 15th minute, but other than that, had a pretty good game. Can he bring that form back with him to Brighton? He's had a difficult season, and he at Brighton. He's been subbed quite a few times. I think he's been taken off at half-time a couple of times as well, which is never usually a good look unless it's an injury, of course. So there's questions there as to sort of just how much the manager really rates him this season. Reports and rumours that he's been his head's been turned by a move to Manchester United. Not having a great season for Brighton. Let's not sugarcoat it. He isn't. But if he has a decent AFCON, comes back and plays well, could Manchester United look to bring him in the summer? Maybe as well, because of the season he's been having, the price has gone down from that 100-odd million, I think, that Brighton was saying during last summer, to something around 70, maybe 60 million. Could a deal be done for that? Does that make it more palatable for Manchester United? Now, there are reports that we are looking at other players. I think Peter Hall, writing for the iPaper, has said, and this is not no disrespect to Peter, it's not like this, he's the only one saying it, but we're still looking at Adam Wharton, we're still looking at Elliot Anderson. Those are the 3 big names that you keep hearing from Manchester United when it comes to midfielders in the summer. Baleba at one point looked like he was the favourite. Now, I think it was Fabrizio Romano who's mentioned on his YouTube channel that Bayern Munich were looking at Baleba, but have sort of walked away from that because they believe the player only wants to come to Manchester United. The question is, does Manchester United still want to sign Carlos Baleba? One to keep an eye on. We'll have to let you know as soon as we hear anything, or as soon as you hear anything. You can let us know, because it'll be all over socials if Manchester United do end up putting in a bid or signing Carlos Baleba. But as always, we'll be covering that and any other transfer news. Just on midfielders as well at Manchester United, there's still reports, rumours of Ruben Neves. I think it's Peter Hall again, and he's not the only one again, who's saying that Ruben Neves could be coming to Manchester United this summer. It looks like it's less likely to happen than likely to happen, if that makes sense. There's a lot of rumours there that he wants to leave Saudi Arabia. He's at Hilal. He's only 28. He's obviously played in the Premier League for a number of years. There's a reason to believe you can get him on the cheap. Could he come in as a sort of short-term option? A few people probably like that idea. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let me know if you're one of them. I'm a bit underwhelmed by it, to be honest with you. I don't think a player that's been playing inside for a couple of years is the answer to our problems. No disrespect to Ruben Neves. I thought he was okay when he was at Wolves. We were linked with him then. I wasn't that keen then. I'm not overly keen now. Let me know what you think. I know we are a little bit short. Is Ruben Neves the answer? I don't know. Let me know. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Another player that has been mentioned, I think Peter Hall mentioned as well, is James Garner from Everton. Now, I know we sold James Garner to Everton, but there's been a few reports that Manchester United are looking at James Garner as a potential signing maybe in the summer. One to keep an eye on. It's doubtful. I don't know about this one. Now, I like James Garner. I liked him when he was at Manchester United. I went to watch the under-23s a couple of times when that was still a thing, and he did very well. He scored in one of the games we went to. I think he's player of the match in the game we went to. Just did really well. Was really, sort of, you could see why there was a lot of hype about him. He was the main man. However, he never really quite got to the levels where you thought he was going to get into the Manchester United team at that time. Now, he's gone to Everton and he's done very well indeed. I've seen him a couple of times at Everton this season, played very well. I know a few Evertonians who are waxing lyrical about his performances. He was in the studio not long ago filming with Ryan Hopper and Damani Mella for More Than a Match. Got to chat to him. I've seen I know him. Chatted to him. Seems like a decent chap, level-headed lad, and he's obviously doing very well, can play in a number of positions. So, wouldn't surprise me if Manchester United were looking at someone like James Garner. But at the moment, I think, again, it's just one to keep an eye on. I don't think there's anything concrete about James Garner coming to Manchester United or back to Manchester United. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. We have signed players before, obviously Paul Pogba, who I think has just picked up an award last night, the best comeback award I saw he got. It's a bit mad, isn't it, when you get a comeback award after you've been absent because of a drugs ban. But I'm not here to judge Paul Pogba. He's got an award, well done. But yeah, we did it with Paul Pogba. We've done it with a couple of other players. It's quite rare, but it can happen. So we'll see if it happens with James Garner. We'll see if it happens with Ruben Neves if we're going to sign him. We'll see if we're going to sign Carlos Baleba. We'll see what's going to happen with Joshua Zirkzee. One thing we do know is going to happen, I think this again, Romano, is Jadon Sancho will not be coming back to Manchester United as a Manchester United player. United are not going to trigger the 1-year extension on his contract. Now, that is the least surprising news in the history of least surprising newses. I don't think anyone expected Manchester United to want to extend Jadon Sancho's contract. I don't think Jadon Sancho would want to extend his contract at Manchester United. Arguably the worst signing in our history, pound for pound. I'm not saying he's the worst player, but the worst signing. Just didn't fulfil any of the potential we saw at Dortmund. Didn't do what we expected of him at Manchester United. Now, you can blame the club for some of it and playing him in a position that didn't suit him. You can look at injuries, you can look at all this other stuff, but ultimately the player's got to take some responsibility as well. Wasn't great, not a good signing, and it's no surprise we don't want to continue what has been a bit of a nightmare move. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on today. It is all happening. We've got the Paddock podcast, of course. We've got Uncensored as well. So make sure, if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.